Hello and welcome to Slade on Slade. This is Leslie, I'm Keith, and today we're going to do how to choose an editor. But first, I'm going to pimp my own book, The House of Ribbons, which will be due out in a few months. As soon as I know anything concrete, I'm going to make sure to put it out here and tell everybody about it.
So my first question for you is, when you are choosing an editor, do you want them to match your genre that you are writing in?
No, I want to do sci-fi with someone who only does romance, so we don't connect. Of course, yeah. No, you want to connect. If somebody says we do it all, and they have like 2 or 3 editors, they don't do it all. Okay, you need somebody within your specific genre, or shit's gonna go sideways. As a precursory side note, I'm not an expert on this, but I have gotten to know 2 of my editors very well, and the individual who owns the company. So I ask a lot of questions, and they let me in on a lot of this, and you are matched up with somebody who is going to be able to do right by your book, because if your book looks good, they look good. So it is critical that you go with somebody who does sci-fi, because if you're only into romance, they're not going to know laser sounds or whatever, you know?
And they're not going to understand it. So my next question for you is do you want an editor that is in the same region as you?
Yeah. All right. So if you're an American, you want somebody here in America, because if you're an American and you go with somebody who's working out of England, or anywhere in Europe, your colloquialisms is not going to be the same. Your slang won't be the same. So you're going to have a slight dialect problem, and you don't want that. So yeah, you want to be able to be clear and concise with the person from your area, you know.
When you're choosing an editor, do you want to get a sample of the edits that they do?
Yeah, any good editing company will provide you with samples, stuff that you can read that they have personally done. So if somebody says, oh, we're working on that, if they don't have it immediately, move on. There's so many other people out there who want to earn your business.
Plus, some of the editors will actually edit your first chapter.
Yeah. A bunch of them will edit your very first chapter, and then you get to see whether you like it or not. So, which is really good, you know. That's a mark of an upstanding editor right there.
So when you are choosing an editor, do you always want to ask them for reviews or references?
Yeah, you have to ask that stuff, because how do you know you're not just writing me and I've taken on 5 other book people and I'm just giving you the absolute super fast food version of the edit, and you paid X amount of money and you are trusting the individual, and now you're screwed. So when you ask for something from the editing company that you want to go with, if they don't want to provide something, like I said before, move on. Well, I guess it would be move on. These places, again, want to earn your business. So they're going to have sample stuff for you to look at. So, next question.
So do you want to shop around for editors?
Yeah, you don't want to fit the very first one. When I decided to go with Right My Wrongs, that was the first thing the owner of the company said. He was like, hey, you want to shop around. You want to find somebody who best fits you, because in the end, you're spending a lot of money on something that you may never see any real return on. So if you spend a lot of money, and you went with somebody who works just out of their basement, it's one person taking on X amount of books back to back, and they do a horrible job on you, you are never going to receive any real return on that investment. And now you're in the hole. Now you have to spend money that you don't have, find it somewhere, get a better editor, and then hope that that book, when reintroduced, will make money. And sadly, it just doesn't happen. Just think, you're putting out a book, and there are hundreds of people a day putting out books. Since we can do it in the non-traditional, which is now becoming the traditional route, everybody and their mom is publishing a book. We just had a friend, her mom published her cookbook.
Yep.
And but for her, it was like me. For her, she just wanted to have it out there, and it was a cookbook of her family recipes, which is great and all. And there is a group for that, but there is, for every one stone you throw, there's 100 people beside you throwing stones in the water. So your work must shine.
Do you have anything else that you want to say to everybody?
Yeah, you want to ask a lot of questions. If you have an editor who can't make time for you, or doesn't give you weekly or even daily updates, because you're going to get some people who will give you daily updates. If I write a question, I'm going to get an answer within a few hours. But then I always have my scheduled weekly update and roundtable talk. So they need to be able to make time for you, and you ask all the questions you want. I didn't know how a lot of things worked, and I'm a curious individual. So I ask a lot of questions, and by asking questions, you yourself become a better writer. And that's what you should strive for. Because, hey, this book, you could be the next J.K. Rowling, and I hope you are. But it might take you 4 or 5 books before you really get your legs under you and then realize, oh, hey, look how, when you read your early stuff, you could be like, oh, it could be real weird and cringy. So the more you ask now, the more you're helping your future self. So what about you?
I would say don't go with the cheapest editor because you don't have any money.
Yeah.
You want to go with somebody that you have reviewed all their references and reviewed all their reviews and read their sample. That way you're picking the person that fits you and not just your wallet.
When it comes right down to it, you only have as much money as you have. Me, I was very fortunate. I saved my money for my deployments, and I had a toy collection that I sold off.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the game was called Heroescape. You can just Google it. I had a lot. I bought on clearance. My wife was like, put all that shit in a Foot Locker and get it out of the house. I did. 10 years later, I realized I could make money on eBay, and I financed an entire book from that and a little card game called Magic the Gathering. I sold a bunch of my old stuff that's been hanging around since the game first came out. But I was able to finance 2 full books from that endeavor alone. Not a lot of people can. We got another friend right now. He's desperately trying to scramble to put money together, because if you go with an inexpensive, I don't like to use the word cheap, but if you go with an inexpensive editor, you're going to get what you're going to get. A book should take 6 to 9 months to edit.
If not more.
If not more, yeah.
It just depends on the size of your book.
It's the size of your book. I mean, if you're writing a Harry Potter sized book, each one of my books are at the very least 224,000 words. There's 5 of them. So I'm on the long spectrum of the edit. So it's a hurry up and wait. We've been in the military a long time. We know that phrase really well. But if I went with somebody who was inexpensive, who was like, I'm going to get this book edited in 4 months, what are they really going to do? You want somebody when they edit, and this is how Olivia has explained it to me, is somebody who reads it, then they go back and then they read it nice and slow. They make their notes. They pass the notes off to you. Okay? You digest. Okay? You pick and choose, because in the end, it's your book. And then you hybridization of what they said and what you want. And remember, they're the experts. Okay? Even Stephen King bows down to the editors. Why? His books are that good because the editors know what to look for. Okay, and we only have one brain. When you have multiple people looking at stuff, beta readers, your editors, other people can be like, hey, blah, 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 did you see that? And you're like, oh man, I didn't even pay attention to that. So you really get what you pay for. Hey man, maybe you get lucky and for a couple $100, you're gonna find somebody who's gonna sink hundreds of hours into this. Mm-hmm. Okay, because the reading part's the easy part. Okay, then you got to look for the mistakes. There's all these little intricate things I didn't know anything about before I submitted my book for the first time. I lost my train of thought. But it's just one of those things where depending on you get what you pay for. Depending on the size of your book is what you're gonna pay for. Me, I got the big package. I don't want to have to put this book into the digital market. I don't want to have to learn how to format, and that's in another video. So I just went ahead and bought the extra perks in the package because, like I said, I sold off all the toys, and I do what I want with my money. So if you go with somebody cheap and they give you cheap work, remember you needed the editor. Can you recognize good work from cheap work? I couldn't. I wouldn't have a clue. So this is just one of those things where, depending on the size of your book, you're going to cough up some change. But remember, it's a gamble, okay? You spend a little money when you go to Vegas, maybe you come home broke. Maybe you come home rich, okay? But at the end of the day, if your passion, if your dream is to put out your work, okay, then you know what? Cut out fast food, cut out a bunch of other stupid bullshit. If you drink, cut out the stupid bullshit. You'll see how quickly in a year you can save a lot of money. So you get what you pay for, and honestly, I wish you a lot of luck. I think writing for me is better. I don't like to sit around and watch movies. I want to read books. So we're part of a dying breed. So go forth and write many pages.
So that is all the content we have for you today. So if you like us, go ahead and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr. And don't forget to like and subscribe below. And
at the very least, like and subscribe for my badass collection. See that guy right there? That guy glows in the dark. I'm not really doing it well because I don't know how to point it. Right there. Scare glow.
So that is all we have for you today. So we will see you next time.
He-Man.